Richard Allen, the man accused of being the Delphi murderer. As always, it's a tale that continues to get stranger and stranger every time we talk about it. One of the key things that's happened recently, destruction of evidence. Evidence that was a conversation with two potential suspects. At the very beginning of the investigation, after these two little girls were found dead within that week, they talked to two people that they thought were potentially suspects, also potentially Odinists. But by the way, those tapes, that information, those interviews, conveniently gone when the defense wants to take a look at it of possible other suspects as they defend Richard Allen against these charges. Joining me to discuss this and the other array of motions that have been flying back and forth, Bob Motta, defense attorney, host of the podcast Defense Diaries. Let's start there with the destruction of evidence. Is this just an honest, hey, our DVR got corrupt and these things are gone? It seems a little too convenient for the course that this has been going down.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad news. Ultimately, I think that the motion will get denied. In terms of, I think that and not just because I think that Gull denies everything that the defense files, which
Hmm.
she does, but I think on the actual grounds that there at least exists a summary of what Holder said. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So it's like how can you prove that? How can you prove that they intentionally deleted it?
Hmm.
It's it's so circumstantial. You're taking, okay, well, they slow played giving us the discovery, the defense, the discovery of, any kind of potential Odin involvement in this or some kind of ritualistic aspect to it until September,
Hmm.
October, almost a year, like almost a year into the case. And you have to try to like compare it to everything that's taken place on top of that to get to the place where you need to be, that they destroyed it intentionally. I mean, it certainly seems like it.
Yeah.
It certainly seems
I
like
mean,
it,
how?
but,
Yeah.
Gull's gonna ultimately say, "Look, you've got the summary, like, law enforcement wrote the summary. I don't think it's that big of a deal that it's not verbatim. You know what the gist of his statement was." So, like, per usual, but just understand the defense is making records here. Like,
Hmm.
they're making an appellate record with everything that they have in their arsenal because Gull's not doing it.
Hmm.
If Gull's not gonna do it, they're gonna have to file the motions so that there's an appellate record and then just let her deny it without hearing, I
Hmm.
mean, that's which seems to be her habit, but, um, yeah, I mean, like, am I surprised? No.
Hmm.
Do I think it was intentional? Maybe.
Hmm.
Like, I'm certainly not of the mindset of, like, that there's no way they intentionally did that.
Hmm.
I'm not even close to being in that place.
How often do things like this happen where key pieces like this, potentially exonerating pieces like this, just suddenly are missing? I mean, are we is this a common thing? I mean, it looks pretty horrible in this case because horrible things just happen every time we talk about it. But I mean, is this common? Does this happen on a regular basis?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you can lose like, we've lost recordings, like, where the states lost recordings before, or something happened, or it was corrupted, or I mean, it happens. And really, again, it goes really to the weight of the evidence. Like,
Hmm.
how was it exculpatory in nature or potentially exculpatory evidence? That changes things.
Yeah.
It's one thing if I get a corrupted disc back when they used to give us DVRs instead of, like, flash drives, or
Hmm.
they gave us, like, CD-ROMs.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'd get them and they wouldn't work, and we'd be like, "Hey, this thing's defective. It doesn't work."
Yeah.
They try to reburn it. Like, I mean, it happens. Like,
Yeah.
we're human. It can happen. However, when it gravitates towards the area that it was potentially exculpatory evidence, it's a bad look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It really is a bad look, and there's not really much of a remedy
Hmm.
to do. Like, I mean, they're obviously asking for an incredibly drastic measure,
Mhm.
which obviously no one thinks that Gull is going to do. She's
Yeah.
never going to dismiss the case because of it. So it's like, what do you do other
Yeah.
than make the record?
Mhm.
And obviously that was an important move for the defense to make at that point because they're definitely leaning into this alternate suspect theory, the Odinist slash white supremacist, you know, group theory that whatever they did, whether it had been a ritual sacrifice or whether it was just a bunch of guys that are into
Mhm.
that, and once the thing took place, they were kind of, going through the motions of building the runes just because who knows?
Mhm.
I mean, they seem to all be really into it. I don't know how deep that runs,
Yeah.
based on some of the stuff I heard about Holder and like what happened with the other guy, Westfall. They had a falling out because like Westfall heard that Holder was at like regular church. He's
Mhm.
like, "What are you doing? You went regular church," you know what I mean? Like, all
Yeah.
offended and like that was the termination of their friendship,
Yeah.
because he cheated on Odinism by going to regular church with his family or something. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, it happens, but in light of everything else that's going on with this case,
Yeah.
it's not a good look.
Hey, it's Tony Brueski. If you like the podcast, be sure to like, subscribe, and press that bell so you don't miss any of our updates on the cases we're following for you right here at the Hidden Killers podcast from True Crime Today. And thanks